Have you ever wondered what it would be like to go thrift shopping in a foreign country? Well, you're about to find out. My husband and I just got home from a lovely vacation, and I feel so very blessed that we were able to visit Dublin, Ireland. And I had to hunt down some thrift stores and vintage shops while I was there. And I can't wait to share this shopping adventure with you. Later in the video, I'll show you everything I bought and brought home with me. But for now, if you're ready to do some thrift shopping in Dublin, Ireland, let's get started.
Let's take a little walk through the cobbled streets of Dublin and see if we can find some interesting thrift stores or antique shops. On my first day in Dublin, I searched the internet for thrift stores near me, and unfortunately, the stores that were showing up were all secondhand clothing stores. So I searched for vintage and antique stores instead. The first store I found was primarily vintage books with a few other items. This store was in a popular shopping area of the city, and the prices were quite high. I did end up buying one small book about Ireland because I wanted a souvenir, and at this point, I wasn't sure what other stores I would find. But then I found another store called Under the Bridge. Since Under the Bridge was considered an antique store rather than a vintage store, I was expecting high prices like those I had seen in the bookstore. However, I was pleasantly surprised. I was so excited to see that they had a selection of vintage wall art, and it was all very reasonably priced at €10 or less. They also had a nice selection of silver candlesticks, vintage china and vases, and they had a collection of vintage silver trophies, something I rarely see in the States. And when I do, they are always ridiculously overpriced. I really wanted this large one, but I wasn't sure if I would have room in my suitcase. I have always been attracted to small storage boxes and pick them up at the thrift store all the time. And this store had several cute ones. I especially liked the vintage marshmallow tin and this embossed brass box, but I did think the prices were just a little high. This pretty green box caught my eye, and I was surprised to find a manicure set inside. I'm always on the lookout for interesting clocks, and I really liked both of these. But once again, I was worried about the amount of space they would take up in my suitcase. I certainly didn't have room for a briefcase or a lamp, but I sure loved that lampshade. This store had so many pretty glass items, but I had to wonder if I could keep them from breaking in my checked luggage. I've never seen a cast iron pine comb before, and it was really heavy, but I knew that that was one item in the store that I could get home safely. Since I wasn't having much luck in locating thrift stores in my area, the next day I decided to check out a few gift shops. This store claimed to sell curiosities and collectibles, which sounded interesting to me. It was a very small shop, but I did see several interesting items, including these fuzzy candelabra and clocks, which had me wondering how I might possibly dupe that look. In another store nearby, I found colorful candles, matches, and oh, so many vases. They also had pretty tea towels and some really lovely decorative paper. It was here that a store clerk told me that I needed to be searching online for charity shops rather than thrift stores near me. Once I used the proper Irish term, my Google search resulted in several stores within walking distance of my hotel. One of the shops I found was called Enable Ireland. 100% of their profits go towards supporting disability services. It had some pretty home decor in the window, so I was excited to go inside. The store was small but very clean and organized, and although it sold primarily clothing, I did find a small area of home decor in the back. This store had some very pretty china and glassware, and the prices were very reasonable, similar to what I would pay at thrift stores in the Midwest. You know, this blue and white Dutch shoe caught my eye, as did this pair of original oil paintings for only €8 each. The next store was Vincent's, and just like the St. Vincent de Paul stores in the U.S., their profits provide support, education, and financial assistance to people in need. If the beautiful china in the front window was any indication, this was going to be a good store. Just as neat and tidy as the previous store, this one was slightly larger, primarily because it had a small upstairs where most of the home decor was located. However, there were a few items displayed on a table near the stairs where I spotted these adorable forest animal plates for just €3 a piece. Upstairs, I found even more china, including some lovely Irish-made Royal Terra vases, marked anywhere from €5 to €12. I really wanted to buy 1 or 2 pieces of this English china, but they wouldn't break up the set. This store also had some interesting and reasonably priced wall art, including 2 or 3 original oil paintings. I found a really interesting little wood box, and much cheaper than the ones that I saw at the antique store. The next shop was Oxfam, a charity that uses its profits to fight hunger and poverty and to assist during humanitarian emergencies. They had some lovely clothing, but no dressing room. And the home decor section was quite small, consisting primarily of books. The next day, I headed out into a more residential area, passing several adorable neighborhoods, and even passing a young girl on a pony. Now, that's not something you're likely to see in the States. My first stop was the Sue Ryder Foundation. Profits from this charity support individuals with serious illnesses, disabilities, and those in hospice care. Since I wasn't in Dublin's main shopping area, this store was much larger than those I had found the day before. And the prices were better too. Hardback books were only €2 each. Like all the other charity shops I had visited, this one had a nice selection of china and wall decor, including a few original paintings. But it also had something I hadn't seen yet, and that was a selection of both modern and vintage furniture. I also saw some unique items like this pink doll crib and this obviously DIY'd cat plate. Hilarious! My last stop was another Vincent's. This was the largest of any of the stores I had visited, and it reminded me the most of an American thrift store. They had a little bit of everything, except furniture. Does anyone know why so few antique and charity shops in Dublin sell furniture? What do people do when they have furniture they want to get rid of? You might not be able to find furniture in Dublin, but you can certainly find beautiful vintage china. I can't believe I didn't try to bring this blue and white platter home with me. This store also had an especially nice selection of interesting wall art. Of all the things that I saw during my trip that I didn't buy, This gorgeous landscape is the one thing I wish most that I could have brought home with me. Even now, I'm still wondering if there wasn't some way I could have carried it on the plane.
Although there were a few things that I saw that I really wanted and was sad that I couldn't bring home with me. There were also a number of things that I did buy, and I am so excited to show them to you now. So, the first thing I want to show you is the book that I bought at the antique bookstore on my first day in Dublin. It's called Murray's Handbook of Ireland, and it is copyrighted 1896. It's a travel guide, and throughout the book, it has these beautiful old maps that fold out. So it's really, really interesting. And then in the back, it has ads for hotels, which are hilarious because they advertise things like the fact that they have hydraulic lifts, AKA elevators, and they advertise that they have baths. So that just tells you kind of what things were like if you were traveling back in 1896. This book was really pricey. I paid $45, nope, 45 euro for it, which is by far the most I have ever spent on any book ever. And had I found the thrift stores before walking into this bookstore, I'm sure I would not have bought this book. But I do really like it.
As it turns out, I actually got a really good deal on this book.
So the next store I found was the Under the Bridge store. And you saw in the video that I bought the cast iron pine cone for 5 euro. And this will be a part of my fall decor this year. I also bought one of the small trophies for 5 euro. And as I mentioned earlier, I really wanted the large one, but I just didn't think that I would have room for it in my suitcase. I also bought a brass candlestick, but it's a teeny tiny brass candlestick, and I paid 2 euro for it. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but it was just too precious not to bring home with me. Another thing that I bought at Under the Bridge that I did not show earlier is I bought some wall art. And I was so happy when I unpacked my suitcase after we got home to see that the glass had not broken. So I bought 2 vertical landscapes for 8 euro each. They are very old, as you can see by the condition of the back side. But look at how pretty the landscape, the browns and the greens. And then look at this one. How beautiful. So I'm sure you'll be seeing these on my wall somewhere in an upcoming video. And then there was actually a third antique store that we went to that I didn't even show at all, because when I went in there and started to take some pictures, the owner of the store yelled at me. He did not want me taking video or pictures in his store. But the thing that drew me into this store was that I saw a William Morris lampshade in the window. And when we went in, he had multiple lampshades and multiple pillows in various William Morris patterns. So he actually ended up being really nice. I think we connected over our love of William Morris. And I purchased this little strawberry thief lampshade. I wanted all the lampshades, but I went with the smallest one, and I absolutely adore it. I already even know what lamp I'm going to put it on. You'll see it in some upcoming video, I'm sure. And then I also bought this small strawberry thief pillow with the light blue background. And even though he yelled at me at first, he ended up giving me a really good deal for these two items. And now for the things that I bought at the thrift stores. I did end up buying the forest animal plates. So I got the fox, a little deer, a little chick, and a little bunny. And these were €3 each. These will be so cute at Easter. But the greens and the browns, and look, it's got little oak leaves and acorns. So I thought even that I could use them this fall. I also bought this pretty silver cup. It was €8. It just has a beautiful design. I don't know if you can see, but it is somewhat misshapen. It's pretty heavy though, but I think that you won't even notice that it is a little bent up once I put a plant or flowers in it. And of course, I bought the little blue and white Dutch shoe for €3.50. And when I went to check out, the lady showed me, which I hadn't noticed before, that there's a little baby shoe. I guess these are clogs, a little baby clog inside the larger clog. I also bought this pretty blue and white plate with the pink flowers on the inside. It was €2, and I thought it would just look really pretty hanging on my dining room wall. It doesn't have a maker name on the back. It just has a number. I haven't had a chance to look it up to see if I can find out anything about it. But to me, it looks to me like something that would have been made in Portugal. So we'll see. And I'm sure you probably guessed that I got this wood box for €3, much more reasonably priced than the boxes that I saw at the antique store. And actually really cool. The lid is hinged, so it opens up, and it has a carved floral design. So on my last day of shopping, when I went to the Sue Ryder Foundation, I, of course, bought some books because the books there were only €1 for a paperback and €2 for hardback. So I bought 3. This little green one is actually an old English textbook. And this one just had a pretty cover on it. It's got a little something right here, but I think I can maybe get that off. If I can't, I don't really care. And then they had a copy of Don Quixote, which is something that I do not have in my library right now. And I love to collect classic literature. So I was really excited to find this. And it looks really, really old, but I haven't been able to find the copyright in it yet. So I need to do a little research. I also picked up a couple small ceramic items there. I found this little adorable cottage. It has a little hole right there. So I think that this is actually a salt cellar. I think there might have been a little spoon that went in that hole at one time, but how cute. And I also bought these floral ceramic candlesticks. I think they're very pretty the way that they are, but one of them is badly cracked and has been glued. So I don't know. I might use them in a DIY. These were only €1 each. The little salt cellar was also €1. These are Italian and have a number, so I'll look them up and see what I can find, but let me know. Should I leave them as they are, or should I use them in a DIY? Because I have an idea. I almost forgot to tell you, I did buy a couple things at the retail stores that I went to. That one store that claimed that they sold curiosities and collectibles, well, I found a fantastic pillow cover in there. Do I need any more pillow covers? Absolutely not. Probably one of the least things that I need in the entire world, but I am just such a sucker for pillows. Is this not perfect for my front living room with the whole fox hunting theme, I absolutely could not pass it up. And then the store with all the colorful candles and vases and papers, they also sold wool flowers. How cute are these? These were €2 each. So this is €10. And I just think they are adorable. So the only store I have left now is the large Vincent's store that had the beautiful piece of wall art that was just too large for me to bring home, unfortunately. But I did pick up a couple small things. I think you probably guessed that I picked up this blue and white picture with the bird on the side. Absolutely love this. It says Wood and Sons England on it. Again, I have not had time to do research on any of the things that I've purchased, but I love, love, love this, and you will definitely be seeing this somewhere in my kitchen, I think. And then they had cards that were 2 packages for $1. And this package just caught my eye because of the impressionist painting on it. And then I could see that it was all famous paintings on the note cards. So I bought 2 packages of those. And let me show you this one. So this is a Van Gogh painting that I don't remember ever having seen before. And I love it. I love it. I love the blue and white plate with the blue and white picture. So I think I'm going to see if I can find a larger, better quality print, because I would really like to have this in, an 8x10 or 11x14 or something to hang in my kitchen. Well, that's everything. I am so excited to find places for all of these things in my home. So I hope you'll be looking for them in upcoming videos. And now, before I close out, I just want to share with you a few other pictures that I took on my trip. These are pictures and video that I took at Trinity College, which is the oldest university in Ireland. It was established by Queen Elizabeth I. One of the most famous buildings there is known as the Long Library. And unfortunately, the books in the Long Library are undergoing restoration. So the shelves were almost entirely empty, which was so sad, but I'm still so glad that I got to see it. And I want to share these beautiful images with you.